Hello and welcome to episode 526 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. My name is Gerard Butler. No, it's not. It's Vince Hunt. And joining me as always is the artist and creator of the epic webcomic series Vanguard, Daniel Butcher.
Hello.
And a man who's well travelled, but it doesn't show in his face. Does it, Tony?
Got laughter lines.
Laughter lines. Yeah. Are they good in terms of, like, you know...
Character.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Anyone who's my age, almost 60, and has got a fucking flat face has had some injections in it, let's face it.
Yeah.
You don't want the sort of smoker's lines, do you? You know, when it's sort of dried up your skin a little bit.
No,
you look a little bit like
lips.
Zelda from Terrorhawks.
Yeah. That's what my ball bag looks like.
Oh, really?
Mm.
I thought I recognised it from somewhere.
I just recognise my shoes.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We're here to talk about comics and making comics, and we have such a fun chat coming up for you all, including the beginning of some interesting questions that I'm lining up for our lovely hosts. But more on that later. I think it's been an interesting sort of time in comics at the moment, and as we speak, San Diego's just kind of it's in the past, isn't it? And I must say,
the Eisners.
Apart from the Eisners, I know, Tony, you always keep your finger on the pulse on the Eisners, don't you?
Yeah. Well, only because our boys won. The Santos sisters won, didn't they?
Congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations to them.
And Hilda for No Brow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were the two that I'm like, because I don't always agree with the Eisners. It may surprise you here, but the least they got it right twice this year.
Yeah. And possibly if there's names that, you know, that won an Eisner or was nominated or whatever, that you don't necessarily know about, perhaps look into them. You know, you might know, you might discover something that you really like. And that's what this show's all about. We're not going to mess about this week, folks. We've got some great comics to recommend you in a minute, as well as loads of shout-outs. But we've just finished having a lovely chat, so should we just get straight to it, shall we?
Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is lean, isn't it? This is just absolutely... There's no fat on the bone, is there, with this show?
Lean and mean.
Yeah. Wrong bone, Tony.
Never wrong. Okay, this guest has led something of a fascinating life, which is only getting more interesting. From the days working at NASA and nights working on comics, he took a big break. He moved to a place in Europe, which we're going to discuss with him, and returned to making comics, and also has a surprising turn as an actor. A man who doesn't necessarily appear to be a reluctant sadist, but deserves our respecto nonetheless. Yes, it's Hal Weaver. Hello, Hal.
Hey, nice to see you guys. Particularly, it's so good to like put a face to Dan and Vince, because I've only ever heard their voices and seen their work on the socials. So yeah.
Are they what you expected them to look? I know we've met for dinner a few times, but are they what you expected them to look like?
I'm worried about this, Dan. Are you worried about this?
I remember somebody saying to me once, "I thought you were bald." And I've never said that. I've always said that sort of a chocolate waterfall of a haircut. But what about those two? Are they expected sexier, unsexier?
I was thinking Vince would be a little more Gerald Butler-ish. I don't know why, but he's good. I like him. Yeah, you're looking good, man. You're looking good.
Thank you.
And Dan, yeah, man, you look younger than I was expecting. I thought that you would be a little more,
a bit more of an old manish.
Yeah. So you're the kid of the group.
Yeah, but inside
really.
He's older than all of us.
Yeah. Is he? Oh, good.
Yeah.
I do like the fact he's actually in his son's bedroom, so that background isn't his own office.
No,
or
it's not
anything.
Oh, okay.
That's not my office.
Okay.
There's a Minecraft fucking bed there. Look.
Minecraft bed. Yeah, there's Dan's Minecraft bed.
That's where my wife makes
he
me
meets
sleep.
a lady.
Yeah. Gonna get bricked up tonight.
Oh my god!
Don't, because he'll cut that because he cut my mention of a glove last week. He did warn me, to be fair.
Yeah, but like Hal, you've been mentioned a few times over the history of this show, so it's nice to have you here. What the listeners can't see is he's got the most epic background and T-shirt that I just need to show some respect to. You know, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at that! I disappeared.
Disappearing to Honolulu.
Yeah.
So he's got a video of Honolulu in the background, and he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Lives in flipping Latvia.
Yeah, a well-travelled man. Yeah.
Actually, I got to tell you, this shirt is one of my favorite Hawaiian shirts, and I actually wore it when I hiked to the top of Mount Fuji.
Oh wow!
So it's just one of those shirts that it has a lot of juju in it, you know. And I was like, okay, I gotta put on something that will be worthy of being on.
I mean, it's always nice when a guest within the first minute says something that makes me think, what the fuck have I done with my life?
I know, yeah. I feel like he's also got some kind of psychic projection that stops us having a go at him because he's wearing this special shirt.
Yeah.
That's like
and he paid me a compliment. He paid me a compliment, so he knows exactly what he's doing.
Gerald Butler. How good would he have been as Punisher? That's my theory.
I think he would have been all right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they were talking for a while about doing a remake of Escape from New York, and he was going to be the guy.
Really?
Snake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Snake Plissken.
No. I mean, I would have seen it.
Snake's still alive, though, isn't he? He could Wilderness Years. Snake the Wilderness Years.
Oh,
That'd
yeah.
be all right.
Kurt Russell could still pull it off.
I mean, I'd love to see an old Kurt Russell Snake. I'd love to see an old Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan. I'd like to see the OGs come. You know,
that's because we're old, Vince.
Yeah,
that's the reason.
Yeah, I know. There's all these reboots and someone gets recast as these things, but you know, just give me a film about the old veterans doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like that. That's a different video, which you got to show ID for now. Anyway, Tony.
I know what's happening. No good. So let's talk a little bit to Hal about his comics making to start with, and I've got a couple of areas to go. Now, am I right in thinking that you started? Is it the 80s? Reluctant Sadist started. So what I'm getting at is you started a comic in the 80s, and then you took this like massive break, didn't you? So tell us a little bit about the origins of it, which were back in, was it Virginia you were living in then? Is that right?
Yeah, I was living in Norfolk, Virginia, 1985, and I was working in a bookstore chain called Walden Books that's no longer around. And we would get Comics Journal, and in one of the issues of the Comics Journal, they did a roundup at the time of like underground zines and small press, and it just like I remember reading this article, like I would, you know, in between opening up boxes of books because I worked in the back room, I would like read, you know, Comics Journal, and I was reading this and thought, holy cow, there are people like just making their own comics. I could do this. So I started, you know, I was always drawing and always an artist and loved comics. Grew up, you know, with all the usual Marvel and DC, you know, as an influence. And so I thought, okay, I could do it, you know, and just as simply as creating take one sheet of paper, fold it in half, and you got a 4-page comic. And the first issue was exactly that.
Okay.
And yeah, very, very simple, but this is pre-internet days. And so then in that article, they mentioned a publication called Fact Sheet 5 that back then was kind of the backbone of the culture, you know, and I sent in a review copy and it got reviewed. And Fact Sheet 5, I don't know if any of you have seen an issue.
No, I haven't. No.
But it was typewritten and everything was shrunk down. So it was like 4-point type.
Oh,
and all these little tiny. Oh yeah. Actually,
a lot of fanzines are like that. It's like almost impossible for my old eyes to read some of those old fanzines these days because it's just it's like a hypnotic mess of very small type. Yeah.
And this was exactly that. It was on newsprint. I still have those issues where I got reviewed and all that. So, but they're back in the U.S. in a storage unit. But when I bring them over sometime, I'll share them with you guys so you can see them. But and then it was amazing to me because I sent an issue in, got reviewed, and then 2 weeks later, I opened my mailbox and there's like a half dozen, you know, orders and and people sending me their zines or comics saying, do you want to trade? And then it just kind of like kicked off from there. And I did it for 4 years. I did 7 issues and one omnibus issue, which is like I'm too lazy to make more content, so I gathered the best of into a new issue and put a new cover and a new back cover on it. So I technically did 8 issues. But it
Talk a little bit
go
about the
ahead.
content, Hal. What sort of thing did you have in it? Was it similar to the stuff now, or was it comics and illustration, or was it text, or was it a combination of everything, or
It was always like comics format.
right?
But my influences are like kind of all over the place. I was really in my 20s, I was really into Jack Kerouac and the Beatniks and beat poetry and was writing poetry and doing stuff like that. Uh, and then I also liked Hunter S. Thompson, was just devouring, that stuff. And
Yeah,
then I was also looking at like underground comics, like the Fabulous Freak Brothers and
Nice.
the Robert Crumb stuff, of course. Really huge fan of American Splendor,
oh nice.
which of course there's more overlap with Crumb and Harvey
Yeah,
Pekar, and then I started finding and getting through the mail other underground comics of that era, which a lot of them were either of the autobiographical diary type comics, or on the other end, because I lived on the East Coast, I was getting a lot of stuff from New York City. And a lot of the stuff at that time, anyways, in the 80s was still very punk influenced and very much like, pushing the envelope of what's shocking. So, a lot of the stuff was just like really nasty, kind of, just to shock
yeah.
people. Like, oh,
I'm willing to bet a lot of that
and
stuff is probably worth a few quid these days. It's sort of
I,
Mm.
I've, yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I know there was the guy who did the Hercules in New York. What was it, Mark? Um, something, Mark. But he actually wound up. He was doing covers for. Oh man, my brain. This is not good.
that's fine.
uh, anyways, yeah, some of that stuff did wind up being like worth some money, but I don't think it's. There's like tons of stuff that isn't. I have a lot of that stuff from that era because I was trading and participated in a small press underground comics festival in Brooklyn,
Oh, nice. So
and
that
went
was
up there.
when was
Yeah,
that? That's that. Let's talk about that because I bet that was something to
Yeah.
behold. Yeah.
1988. Let me look on my.
Okay.
Actually, I'll look on Zine Wiki because I put everything in there. So I'll actually be able
So
to
you were
see that.
traveling up from Virginia up to Brooklyn in the 80s to go to a underground comics festival. That sounds like the best thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was because I made like a friend through who was doing comics named Ralph Schult, and he was doing a comic called Dinky Doo and Larry the Leper, uh, and stuff like this. I mean, just like amazing, crazy stuff. And oh, here we go. I'm trying to juggle. I want to find. Here we go. This is exactly what I need. But he was really, and he's still living in Virginia. He moved to Virginia eventually, but yeah, I met him and we went to this. It was like a time in New York City in the 80s where it really looked like Escape from New York. I mean, there was burned out
Yeah.
cars in the street. It was rough, and it just was an amazing. They just plastered the walls. They had taken over some abandoned store space. I don't, it wasn't like a real gallery or anything. So I remember we went to this thing and we just partied and just had a great time. And I, loved it. And then Ralph and I piled into his vehicle and drove into Manhattan and went down to Soho where the real art galleries were. And we just started crashing all these galleries because they had like great food and wine.
Free
And we were
wine.
these
Yeah.
like
Nice.
scruffy punk rockers, and we just like come rolling in. I remember walking into one and it was like a cliche, like everybody was dressed in black They all looked at us horrified, but nobody said anything. And we just like went right for the table of food and just started eating the food, kind of like the Blues Brothers, like throwing the shrimp in each other's mouth and, how much for the little girl, and all this kind of stuff. And it just kind of rolled through there. And then Ralph was living just north of New York City in a little town. There was a big art foundry, bronze casting foundry,
right?
And he worked there. And he was kind of living communally with like a half dozen guys in this house. And we got a pig, and we like roasted this pig in the backyard. So it was just this kind of debauch, and a storm came in. I remember like at 3 a.m.
Right, this is a made up story. Right, this is a fucking made up story. Hey, I trust you. I trust you, Hal. Just yeah.
I'm going to start hitting you with some photos.
Oh, nice.
I got photos to send, man. I will send photos to you. But it was incredible. No, I'm serious. I will.
No, I trust you, man. No, we've had many a chat. Yeah.
But so it was an incredible time to like kind of dip into the New York cultural scene, because there was a lot going on, and I really, through that time period, through Fact Sheet 5. I was interacting with like people like Julie Doucet. We were trading comics and corresponding, and I was getting like there was some radio show in Paris, and they like reviewed Reluctant Sadist back then. I got the cassette tape around. I needed to digitize it.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just this series of things going on back then. It was so vibrant, and it was really underground. Like if you weren't tapped into it, you didn't know about it. Now, I mean, I always wonder like what's underground, what isn't. Everything just seems like it's all mixed together now,
Yeah. They realized the sales potential of underground comics at some point, didn't they? And it sort of ruined it almost a little bit, I kind of think.
Yeah. So as it went along, I mean, I was like participating, getting invited to put work in other people's publications, and was doing more and more. As it was, I mean, I also just am somebody who's interested in a lot of different things. So I was also trying to make movies, and I was going to school for media production, and working, trying to make a living, because I was poor as a church mouse, so I had to find my way. So and then on top of it, just kind of having a wild lifestyle in my 20s. On top of everything else. So, so I enjoyed doing the comics, but I just, at a certain point, started getting more interested in doing sculpture. And I put my energies into that. So I started doing like wall hanging sculpture and doing art shows. And there just wasn't enough time with working full time. I kind of had to focus my energies in one area or another. And I just gave up on doing the comic around 1990, and then got sucked into a whole different life,
So that was quite an intense period of 8 issues in a period of 2 or 3 years, I'm guessing, at that point.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot for the small press now. That many issues.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And then you were asking me about the content and how it compares to what I'm doing now. It essentially was the same as what I'm doing now. But for one difference, right now, the 2 new issues that I've done since I've started back up, issue number 8 and issue number 9, which started last year, it's just like a few short pieces. There's no continuity, from issue to issue. It's just like, these sort of ideas, and then I run them off, and they're 3 to 5 pages, 2 to 5 pages. Kind of things, just riffing, really. When I was doing Reluctant Sadist back in the 80s, in the first issue, I introduced a character called 3D Speed Freak. He was the first thing, and he was kind of roughly modeled on like part of my personality. He wore 3D glasses, and he's in my social media. He's
the guy on the cover profile. Of that issue as well. Yeah,
it was issue number 4. So he was part of my personality, kind of this party animal guy. And then he interacted. He had a friend, a roommate named Sam, who was kind of the polar opposite. He was kind of a short guy with a bowl haircut, and just they kind of complemented each other. And he was sort of another part of my personality, more of a cautious, worry-wart kind of guy. And they, like issue 4 and 5, there was a two-part story about it was sort of semi like near future at the time. It was meant to be sort of near futuristic, where Sam gets kidnapped by a cult, and the cult's basis is coffee. They worship coffee, and so they're taking him to convert him into this coffee cult, and so 3D Speed Freak comes to rescue him, and he realizes that he can disguise himself as Juan Valdez. If you remember the old one of the, I think it was Folgers, they had this series of commercials back in the 80s and 90s where it was like Juan Valdez with his donkey going into the coffee fields and all this. So 3D Speed Freak figures out, he goes to end the issue. Okay, this is so of the time, right? Instead of getting on his phone, he's just Googling it up. No, he goes to a library, right? I have a frame, like it's a library in Norfolk, Virginia, and he goes and he's reading Time magazine about Juan Valdez. And then he transforms himself into Juan Valdez and dresses up. So he interrupts the cult's, meeting, and then does this whole thing with the cult and tricks them into being able to free his buddy. But that, that was one of the continuing stories. And I'm actually toying with the idea of trying to bring them back, into the present day. And I've been writing around that, but I'm just, it just has been too sad and serious, and I want it to be more humorous.
Okay.
And it came off really heavy, because I wrote this whole thing about Sam, and they've been separated as friends, and then they meet up randomly, one of them's walking down the street, and he finds his friend living in his car, and it was just this whole thing. And I wrote it, and I'm like, I like it, but I'm like, Jesus, man, it's just so heavy and so sad. I got to find some way to bring some humor into it, just because I like humor, and I want it to be interesting and funny. So that might surface at some point.
How do you write for yourself when you're creating your strips? Is it full script, or is it?
Yeah. So I start with the writing first, and then I design the imagery around that. I really admire people that can just sit down and draw a panel, and then they draw the next panel, and they draw the next panel, and they just make it up. They just kind of sort of weave it out, so to speak. I like writing first, and also too, I've written a movie screenplay, and I like dialogue. So my first impulse when I get an idea, it's a word, it's a phrase or a scene, and I write it down. It's not, actually it can be an image, but I write it down, I'll describe it.
Really good dialogue is really missing these days. It's something I talk about a lot on the site. It's very rare you get realistic dialogue in comics anymore. It's either Twitter talk or exposition, seemingly, these days.
Why do you think that is? I mean, in general, dialogue, across the board, whether it be comics, movies, or whatever, that can, when that's good, it really jumps out to the point. Or if it has a certain character to it itself. I mean, you take a Quentin Tarantino, where he'll have a 10-minute dialogue scene. And and people just constantly talk about his dialogue and how snappy it is and stuff like that, but we don't get it.
I think we had a period, they call it the writer's age, don't they, where we had writers like Bendis and Brubaker and stuff like that who really knew that snappy dialogue, and seemingly I'm finding that's a bit lost. If you look at some of the Powers issues where he's putting balloons on top of balloons, to show the way a naturalistic dialogue happens. I kind of think that's being lost a bit, and I think that has a direct line to Tarantino.
I think
there's definitely.
I think there is a danger though with dialogue of there's just too much of it in a comic.
Gotta be careful of that.
Yeah, it's got to reflect real life, and we don't sit there and exposition dump huge fucking balloons worth of speech, do we? When we're having a conversation, we say things and people say things, and almost breaks up sentences as we talk, especially people who know each other.
Yeah,
I mean, look at us; we talk on top of each other all the time, but
no, we don't.
It seemingly makes sense.
Yeah,
I struggle sometimes when characters writing multiple a writer's writing multiple characters and they seem to all have the same voice.
Yeah, I think that's a problem these days, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you want person A to be sort of light-hearted and upbeat, and then person B to be sort of down in the mouth and dour, so you get the kind of interplay between them. If you have three people sitting around having a conversation, they all sound the same, expressing the same opinions. What is the point of that as a scene? It's
especially if the artwork, like some characters can look very similar as well, depending on how the art style looks. It's like it just becomes a wash, doesn't it?
Yeah. Maybe that's your filmic influence, Hal, is the dialogue thing. Because I know we're going to talk a tiny bit about your acting later, but you've definitely, it's a big influence. You say you studied it, and is that something you coordinate in? You add to your comics? Is it almost that influence from film?
I think so. I mean, I try to. I have to say, though, like my new era of Reluctant Sadist, I'm not kind of showing that off as much as I could. And part of it is just kind of getting working again. And, I have a tendency to overthink and find ways to prevent myself from finishing something. So, I think that's right now, like why I'm doing these 2 to 5 page, getting them out. But I think like the next issue, could be a story that takes up the whole issue, or it could be the beginning of something that's going to, establish something that's going to be a continuing, bigger story. So I'm just kind of getting my my legs back under me.
Because creativity and creating, even if you are like a creative person or always have been, everything's a muscle, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If you're not constantly using it, and you could be using your creativity in other ways. But like for me, like I haven't drawn much over the past couple of years, like apart from a doodle here and there. So when I go back to it, the whole thinking I'll be at a place where I was before is redundant, because you need to sort of build it up again. I'm not one of those persons that's blessed that I can just hit the pad and nothing. There's been no time, So there is I mean, after having that break, what are the things that the learnings that you've had to come back to comics, and what were some bits that you were surprised you had to almost relearn?
It's been a substantial break as well. I mean, it's been a couple of decades, my friend. Yeah,
it was it was actually 34 years, because it was 1990. Well, actually 35. Just about 35 years, because it was 89 to 2024. The thing was, it wasn't a complete break, because I did do some contributions to other people's publications in between, and I was working on other art, and went back to school for computer graphics, and wound up having a whole new career that was into my 30s and 40s, as you were mentioning, that I worked at NASA and was working on other things. So I've had a couple of different lives, but
just subtly drops NASA into the conversation.
But you see, the thing is, I know for a fact it's because he can't say the CIA. No, that's a joke, by the way.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
You
good one,
playing
Tony.
Someone from there. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good one, Tony. Yeah, I like that. But to me, everything is all together. So sculpture and making comics and movies and there's a creative connection through all of those. There's an impulse, and an idea, and if it has that kind of life to it, then I'm on, and I actually I'm constantly writing down new ideas, and the comics and the movies like all kind of overlap because I kind of see them as similar in some ways, even though they
Yeah.
are different mediums. But I mean, the visual and the word, I mean, like the dialogue or whatever, like I hear it, I see it. So I, now I'm just decided like I need to focus on doing the comic again. I know I need to circle back to why I started that. But like once a year, I'm going to put out an issue, and then I'm also looking for opportunities to contribute to anthologies or collections that would be where my work might fit. I'm not going to just somehow, I don't know, do a manga style thing. It's just not my style. I don't like, I mean, hats off to people who like that. That's their thing. It's just not my thing. I'm not going to do let's, like a Spider-Man tribute or something. I like Spider-Man as a character and all that, but like I'm not interested in drawing something like that. I got to find like weird shit like I do, which I mean, there's abundance of that out there. I mean, that's
there's
like,
no doubt there.
Yeah. I mean, like I contributed to Ugly Mug, and that's how you originally found me. And House of Harley was, gave me that opportunity, and I always appreciate that. And I'm proud to be part of that issue. And I hope to work with him again sometime in another issue. And
that perfectly fitted with that. I mean, the Respecto stuff you did for that, and the stuff, sitting next to maybe Ed Pinson's work and stuff, I thought was just spot on. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And he's invited me to like the last issue. I just didn't get something together in time. It's just me, getting the work in. But I feel like I'm really jumping around a lot.
That's fine,
feel free to rein me in. But I will go. I'm trying to think of what Tony was saying, and I will go to like from that era in the 80s to fast forward to when I moved to Latvia. So I moved to Latvia in 2021, in November of 2021, and I'd visited a few times and all that. And what brought me here is I met a really nice Latvian lady, and we liked each other a lot. And then I needed to be here to be with her. It's easier for me to come here than for her to come to the U.S., particularly now. That's it. Won't even go. Not going there. So when I arrived here, just to connect with the culture and the local scene, I found that there was Kush Comics being published here. And Kush Comics
is like a long-running anthology, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's done by a guy from Switzerland named David Schulter. And he's been here for, I don't know, 15 years or more. And he loves comics, and he saw that like when he arrived, there wasn't a comic scene in Latvia. Surprise. But he started one, and it's more on the art comic side of thing, but he prints everything. I mean, he does these mini Kush comics, which are kind of like one-off, like one artist doing one story, and they're A5. They're really small. They're like the next size down from what I'm doing. A5. No, they're A6.
Right.
So, and then he does an anthology called She, that's just like S with the little hat on it, which is a sh sound with an exclamation point. And those are usually themed. And those come out maybe twice a year. I think the latest one, I'd have to look, but he did something with Art Spiegelman from Mass.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, he went to an arts. It was at an academic place, Rice University in Houston, and there's a guy there. Pinko Joe is his handle. Chris Speranto. He did I think I mispronounced his last name, but he's a teacher there, and they did a comic book kind kind of not a convention, but it was sort of a conference. And Art Spiegelman was one of the guests, and David was there presenting, and they were doing, different panel discussions and different things. It was more academic leaning, though.
Yeah.
And so he got Art Spiegelman. So, anyways, I'm going on.
So the anthologies are they English language? Are they or?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So because Latvian is not a widely spoken language. David wants the comics to be accessible all over Europe, and English is kind of the common language in Europe overall.
Because having spent some time in Latvia, is it split between Latvian and Russian? I'm going to say, is that right?
It not quite split, but there is still a very large Russian-speaking population here because of the hangover of the Soviet occupation.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people who were born here who only grew up speaking Russian because they were born into the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
But it's a tricky political issue because Russia likes to use the excuse of, oh, well, these Russian speakers are not being treated well, so maybe we need to come there and help them.
Yeah, that's a long-standing excuse for the Russians. Yeah.
No, that works out.
Yeah,
but particularly in Riga, there's a lot of Russian money around here and a lot of Russian speakers. Like some days I go into the center of town and I hear more Russian than Latvian.
Right.
But
how's your Latvian, Hal?
Es mācos latviešu valodu.
On it.
Es dzīvoju Rīgā 3,5 gadus.
That's the first for us.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and the first thing I said is I'm learning the Latvian language. I've been living in Riga for 3.5 years.
Good man.
And so I'm every day I'm learning and I'm working on it, and my wife is helping me, and it's a tough language. And this is like not a great era of my life to try to get a new language, but I'm trying my best.
Nothing's going in my head, man. I have to say, I worked in Latvia a few times over the years, but what I did miss when I was there, and I never spotted it, is something that you send me pictures of quite regularly, is pizza machines in the high street called Let's Pizza. So that's
Let's Pizza.
Yeah,
they're actually giving the Japanese a run for their money when it comes to crazy vending machines. Because
all we need is a comic vending machine. That's what we need.
Yeah.
I think I've seen art vending machines. I think a comic vending machine would be perfect.
Yeah,
could be like in a tube, like a soda can size tube.
Yeah,
pop it out.
Yeah, we might be able to make tens of pounds on an idea like this. It'd be amazing.
Imagine if you was at a train station, your train got delayed half hour, or an airport. It's I buy Hush Batman trade for a tenner or something
from a machine.
Vending machine. Yeah,
it'd be great, wouldn't it?
Could be
done. The so getting back to so you've landed in Riga. Have you submitted to Ugly Mugwash? You've been there. Is that what's happened?
Yes. Yeah. After I moved here, and then I was getting inspired by the Kush comics scene.
Right.
David has artist residency. So if there's anybody who does small press comics, underground comics, and you're interested in something like that, you can just plug in Kush Comics, KUS Comics Latvia. Go to his website, and there's information if you want to try to do a residency here.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool.
Okay.
It's like a month-long residency. And when
the sort of thing that would suit someone like Falpy, I think.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So when there's artist residence here, they also do like artist talks. So I started going to these artist talks, and I was really enjoying it. I'm gonna mute for a second because I need a cough.
No worries, man.
No worries.
Yeah. That's a convention we could do with doing, isn't it? We should go out and do.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Imagine. Yeah.
An
awesome comics table at
in Latvia.
Yeah. Sorry, Hal, you're saying so they do these
that's all right.
So talks and stuff. And
so I go to these events, and I started meeting people and chatting, and was telling David about my own background, and he invited me. I spoke one time, and but I was just thinking, well, I can do my comic again. There's no, I had the time, and And I was still drawing all through the years. I was still doing my drawing, not necessarily comics drawing, just more sketching and doing things. A lot of like primitive art and African masks and things like that, archaeological Mayan stuff and all that. I really find inspiring. And so often I was doing, drawing stuff that I saw in museums or whatever. And I've stacks of sketchbooks filled with that kind of stuff. So I was posting that on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. It's always going to be Twitter to me.
Same.
And was connecting with people on Twitter, including like House Harley. And he saw some of my sketches that I put up and invited me, like, because he saw that to contribute to that issue of Ugly Mug. I think it was number 7 or 8. Yeah, 7. So, and then I came up with the Respecto story from that, and kind of leveraged off of my love of African artwork, which through the story, I do, as an aside, I have to say I made sure that I attribute every African tribe and every region of those tribes come from. Part of it is I don't want to be seen as somebody trying to appropriate.
Yeah, completely.
Because I respect this art. I want to share my love of that art. So if somebody enjoys that story, I want them to go, oh, well, this came from that. And then they can Google it up, and then they will have it'll send them off into a whole other direction. I don't want to represent it as my original, design. But I see it as like a good opportunity to be a node, like a connecting node.
Done with the right respect. I think it works completely, and it's a great little character, isn't it?
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely a highlight of mine from the magazine, certainly.
Yeah. So
did you find that that's what really ignited your mojo? Hal, is that what really? Suddenly thought comics. I miss comics. How did you feel, and what sort of? Because you've been on fire since then. So I'm guessing you're working on Reluctant Sadist 10 now. I'm guessing. So sort of, did it really? How did it push you back into the world?
Part of it was I wanted a creative outlet, and I wanted a creative outlet that was 100% mine. I didn't, want to, like, I started submitting work out there and was getting rejected, and some of it was, like, you'd send it in and you don't even hear anything back, and and I just thought, well, I'll continue to do that. I mean, I don't mind. I don't expect everything I send out to be accepted. I mean, that's just how it goes. But then I just thought, I want to do my thing, in my way, for good or for ill, warts and all. I don't want to explain. I want to do it and put it out there and then move on to the next thing. And I want it to be a physical publication. I'm never going to do digital. Again, it's just my choice. I like to have something in hand to read. I prefer to read something physical. I like the relic. I like the idea of something being on somebody's shelf or in a box, and then it gets unearthed, and then it continues on in life. So all of those things, to contribute and be part of the culture and share what I'm doing.
Is there anything noticeable that you've seen that has changed significantly? I mean, there's going to be loads, I know, between the days when you were attending art galleries in New York and putting your comic out to now. Are there some things that have stayed the same and some things that are very different? For example, I know you sell your comics through Gosh and you take your comics into Gosh when you're in the UK and stuff. Is there anything that's really changed when you've gone back to it and thought, oh, this is much more organised or disorganised, or how do you feel about it?
I think it's amazing. I think that the new era is incredible because there's so many more people who are working on stuff, and there's such a huge variety of work now. I mean, here I am, a 60-year-old geezer, and I'm still, doing my thing the way I want to do it. And then you're next to somebody who might be 12 years old, and they're doing a completely digital comic that's,
webtoons,
cool.
or something.
Yeah, I mean, and we all have we all can find each other, through the internet, and then all the different printing technologies that are available. I was just Xeroxing stuff back in the day. Now, like the last issue of RS, I did it through a publisher and a printer in Poland.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like everything is designed, directly. And then, I know people that are hand making their own comics, even, hand printing everything and then stitching them together. And so, I mean, the world has just kind of exploded in the variety of what people are doing, how they're doing it. And so I see it as good. Like that's kind of a positive change from back in the day. I don't want to get too nostalgic of like it was more pure and authentic or whatever. It's like, well, it was what it was in its era. And now, like, if you want to be somebody like me who's purely printing and, creating a physical book that you want to put in somebody's hand, well, yeah, you can do it. And if you want to do something else, then that's all good too. So
what's it's hard not to community sort of interaction? How does that sort of differ? Because, like, obviously going to Brooklyn and just printing your books when you're in Virginia and stuff, and now with the internet and everything else, is the community interaction better? I mean, it's probably easier, but that doesn't always mean better, does it? But what's it been like returning to comics? And there is such a difference in what the small press and zine sort of community is now. Was it daunting?
No, I find it to be, well, at least I had the advantage of being here in Riga, because I feel like people are very open, particularly like age-wise. I talk to like, people in their 20s and teenagers, and they respond to my work, and then I'm talking to people who are my age. I think the thing that's kind of a big difference between now and the 80s is it was much more, at least in the US and at least in the underground scene, it was much more male, just more white guys. And now, it's definitely opened up and is, like everybody is involved, particularly there's so many more women that, are comfortable to create comics, where in the underground scene, it wasn't quite that friendly. It was kind of a different scene back in the 80s, at least in the US. I don't know what it was like in Britain. Yeah. So I mean, there were a few like the Julie Doucet and people like that were around, but it was the same with the comic scene overall and the geek scene. If you were into horror sci-fi movies, there would be 50 guys and like one woman, back then, if you went to a convention or whatever, and now it's like, I think there are more women who are into the scene sometimes, when you see the cosplay stuff going on and all that. I mean, it's really cool. It's great.
Yeah. Cause like in the past as well, like there were so many sort of women that were so influential and did like so many major things. Mm-hmm. But it's only now that we look back and sometimes go, oh, wow, they were responsible for that. Do you know what I mean? At the time, they weren't heralded, were they? They were in the shade of like other personalities. And
yeah, absolutely.
I guess it's interesting as well to talk about now your new experience of tabling. So you've sort of explained to us that they literally squatted an abandoned shop to do your first show in was it Brooklyn or the Bronx? I can't remember, but it's that sort of thing. But for now, you sent me a video of you at a very organised comics event it was in Riga, wasn't it? That one you were at.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
It was amazing. I mean, it's called the Sabrs Festival, the Small Press and Zine Comics Festival. It's organized by a really lovely couple, Uris and Rebecca, and they're both comic book artists, and they have a workshop space. And this was, I think, the third or fourth year. It was my second year doing the Sabrs, and it kind of leans more towards the art comic end of things. Some of the people there also were kind of small press in that they had philosophical journals or poetry. So it's just kind of a broader small press festival, and I was amazed. It's the response, the people that came out. It's held in a market, like a food kind of
indoor market kind of thing. Yeah.
Indoor market, yeah. And there's so we were not just getting people specifically coming for the festival. We had kind of a mix of regular people just who didn't even know the festival was on. So that was cool because I actually sold stuff to people. It was almost half and half. That's people would come along. Yeah,
it's quite nice when you can sell to someone that isn't part of the scene, isn't it? I think it's almost because sometimes like it's the same fiver, in the box, isn't it? Doing the rounds. But when it's someone from outside, it's like with a festival here in Macclesfield, and it's designed for the people of the town to come in and have a look at comics. And it's nice when you can you think, oh, this is interesting, when they're nothing to do with the scene. I kind of think it's almost more encouraging that way sometimes.
And I've started doing merch, like I put the Blind Bigfoot will beat your ass like on a T-shirt.
Oh no! Have you? Right?
Yeah. So the last at that festival, I had one. That's it right there. Yeah. I had that hanging up, and some guy was walking through, like stopped, and he went, "I want that shirt." And he was visiting from Italy, and he was like a real kind of like fashion-looking guy. And I was just like, "This is so like it was really cool because." He had no interest in the comics, nothing, but he just like stopped dead. Boom. He saw the image. He's like, yeah, I want that. I want that shirt.
Nice.
No, so that was...
I'm a big Bionic Man fan. And that's that's the character from that, isn't it? Yeah. Who was also,
absolutely.
Wasn't he that wrestler?
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a friend of Steve Austin's, wasn't he? They became friends in the end. I like that. Yeah.
He was a benevolent Bigfoot.
Yeah. You're a little bit obsessed with Bigfoot. I'll be honest with you. This the new issue does show a sort of an obsession. Is there some kind of? Did you ever meet one on one of your many travels?
No, unfortunately not. No, but there's still time.
Yeah, maybe Bigfoot hangs around in Riga.
It's one of those things that, like, growing up in the 70s, we had there was a show called In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. Oh, and it just, he did Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and, the Chariots of the Gods stuff. And, every episode was a different thing. And just growing up with that was just, it seemed like the world was this beautiful, mysterious place. And there were so many, things going on, like to explore. And then I feel like the internet just kind of like, takes all the fun out of the world.
Shits on all our dreams.
Yeah. And of course I'm a bit cynical, about those things, but I just still feel like, there's huge tracts of wilderness and it's just too many weird things that have happened and it can't be disproved, completely. So I'll always hold out. So, it was just my cynical take. And I really appreciate you reading If You Go Into the Woods. You're spot on. I mean, I've been cultivating or kind of cultivating and keeping a list of like things that like
annoy
bug
you.
Me.
Yeah.
And then I love the idea of like, that nature just doesn't give a shit about us. Like all our kind of petty, sort of narcissistic qualities. I was thinking about this, like I love to go hiking and I do like long distance hiking. These people who go like in flip-flops and they don't bring water and they don't bring anything, but they have their phone and then they're calling for rescue, and it's just kind of like, yeah, right. You went into nature the second you put yourself out there. We're just like everything else. So I was just like, okay, all these annoying, kind of self-absorbed people, like Bigfoot's gonna like, be the equalizer. So, and hopefully just kind of doing it in a fun way.
Yeah. Cool. Right. I've got I've got one thing to ask you about, Hal, and then Vince has got 2 questions for us all. So let's quickly touch on this because so what happened was I reviewed Hal's work in Big Mug, and you happened to be in London, and you said, "Oh, I'm about. Are you about?" And I said, "Yeah, well, let's get a pizza." So we sat down to pizza, and I had this conversation with you that involved everything you've just talked about, NASA and everything, but then you also go, "Oh, by the way, I've also started acting." And I've just been directed by, I can never know how to say her first name. Is it Kristen Stewart? Is that her name?
Yeah, Kristen Stewart.
Yeah. So you're in movies now as well. So that's part of your sort of artistic output. And it's not just as an extra, although you do send me, which I often forward to the boys, pictures of you in various costumes.
That's ace. Yeah, love it.
Elizabethan, and there was all this sort of thing getting through. But you're in a movie coming out. So is it Chronology of Water? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which sparked my interest for another reason is that Kim Gordon's in it as well.
Yeah,
I'm a Sonic Youth fan, so yeah.
And
What's the story with that one?
I did not meet Kim Gordon, unfortunately. I have a small speaking part, very small, just one scene, but I know that it is in the final movie.
You told me you checked, didn't you? Yeah.
At the Cannes Film Festival, and somebody I know went and saw it at the Cannes Film Festival, and they said, "Oh yeah, you're in there." And the scene I'm in, I was acting across from Imogen Poots. So it was me and Imogen Poots and Kristen Stewart in this small room, and the camera was like, boom, right on me, and we're acting across from each other. And it was just an amazing experience. They were, both of them, Kristen Stewart and Imogen Poots, were both very generous creatively, and Kristen was giving me more stuff to do and more lines, and it went really well. I've been acting on and off since the 1980s. The first thing that I did back in the 80s was an Italian horror movie, grindhouse exploitation movie called Metamorphosis, and it was shot in Norfolk, Virginia, and I just was an extra in one of the scenes, but I was, bitten by the bug. And so through the years, I did more background extra work, but it was kind of like reoccurring feature extra on one of the Walking Dead spinoff shows, Walking Dead World Beyond. So I was in the second season and 4 or 5 episodes of that. And I was acted as the lead character in a independent film called Happy Walter. That's it was a mockumentary about the art world. I'll have to send you a copy. It was never.
Yeah. I want to see that.
It played in Pittsburgh and it played in New York City and some theaters, but it never got proper distribution. So this came out in 2007 or 2008. But I'll get you guys a copy of that if you want to watch it.
Yeah, man.
So in independent films, I've had bigger parts, and then I've done extra work and various things here and in the States. And now, where I'm living, there's a lot of production work going on here, and they need, native speaking English, native English speakers. So I'm getting opportunities like Chronology of Water, and then the thing I'm working on now that I wouldn't get in the U.S. just because, I'm one of a tiny pool here. And so if I audition and they're like, oh, well, this guy's, we'll use him. They don't have to fly somebody in, it's a lot cheaper and easier for them. So,
mate, it sounds like that is the best move ever, doesn't it? You've got back into comics. You found a lovely lady. You're now an actor. It sounds like it's the dream.
It's I pinch myself because and I just hit 60 this year.
I mean, he's sat on a beach at the moment, but that could be the Zoom background.
Yeah. Right. Before we get on to Vince, give us your links. We'll ask what are your links? Where can people find you? And we'll go back to that later on as well. But
my studio is called Weaver Works, and you would spell it Weaver and WERX.
I love your logo, by the way. I absolutely love your logo. amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I thought of it as being kind of the evil Mickey Mouse. It's like the anti-Mickey Mouse.
Amazing.
So I worked on it took some iterations. It's the last logo. So I appreciate you saying that, man. So everything's under WeaverWorks. You can find me on any of the socials under WeaverWorks. I have a website that's weaverworks.com. I blog on there, and then I will repost it on. I'm not doing Substack yet, but I'm thinking I need to start that up because, as you know, nobody ever goes and looks at my website. But but if you want to find it there, and then you mentioned Josh Comics, they're good to carry my comic. I'm hoping here in a couple of weeks, I'll be visiting London again, and I'm going to drop some copies by. So hopefully they'll have some room on the shelf for me. And then I'm in 6 other countries. Distribution, I always carry copies with me when I travel, and research and find places. I'm in Edinburgh in a place called Typewronger, so they have copies of number 8. I'm looking for more places in the UK, so if there's any shops, if anybody hears this, hit me up on the I'm on the Slack. The Slack community there, or just direct message me. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, it's brilliant.
It's all good. It's all good.
Brilliant.
Right, Vincenzo.
Okay, so I picked out this particular question because I think with the talk of obviously the shows that you've been to in Latvia, etc. And obviously I'm asking broader questions to just get. I've been calling them devil's advocate questions to just get immediate responses. Now, in terms of knowing all the different comics that we all do, or zines, or whatever you happen to do, bigger comic conventions, whether like MCM or as we're speaking, San Diego is just finishing up, which has comic convention in its name. They are obviously huge shows and usually multimedia shows, and there's a lot of talk about the guests there, and bigger publishers sometimes do stuff there, or there's panels, etc. Lots of things like during a big convention weekend that if you're interested in comics, there'll be some buzz about something, whether it be movies, games, or what DC are releasing over the next 6 months or something like that. But these big conventions, are they worth tabling at if you're a small press, independent, or zine creator? Honestly, do you think, with everything that comes with going to a big show like that, taking into account the costs, it's risk and reward, isn't it? A convention. Those big shows, are they worth it? Over to you.
It depends.
Because they sound like big money. They sound like big money. How? What do you think?
Yeah, we've been sucking into that one.
Well, I would say for the kind of comic that I'm producing, I wouldn't even bother with those kind of shows because I think my stuff is just too weird and esoteric, and there's too many small press, comics shows, festivals that are geared more towards my level that I would go for. These kind of like massive, big Comic-Con that are more going towards mainstream, comic book stuff. That would just be a waste of time and money, I think, for somebody like me. So I like going to those shows because I always have a soft spot for, Marvel and DC comics and other. I mean, I like comics overall.
Yeah.
So I would go to that just more as a customer, not a participant.
Exactly.
But,
and I think to be clear, listener, like the answers to a question like this isn't to say these shows are bad. These shows can be amazing. You can you can absolutely love going to these shows and have a whale of a time seeing comics and all of this stuff. But it was just a case of, is it worth it if you're an Indian small press creator? And
I've seen stuff with like breakdowns, and these have been American creators going to big American cons, and they were like doing their table costs, how much it costs to get printed, the staying, like
Travel.
food fee, travel, stuff like that, and like not many of them were doing like a 3-day event and then not even coming out with $200 like as a profit, and some weren't making profit whatsoever. But like these were kind of
if you're going out in
not
debt,
just fly-by-night deals.
Is it worth it if you're going out in debt? You know, do you know what I
mean? It can be.
Yeah,
I very rarely make money at a convention. I very rarely make a profit, and it's But for example,
but a bigger show like that can be a bigger investment in terms of hotels, travel.
I'll make some of the table prices as well as some of the big shows are massive. That's the problem. Unless there is, and God bless MCM. I'm not in the world of hating on an MCM because their Artist Alley is affordable. Yeah, compared to some of the big shows and just a normal table.
A lot of our friends table there and do well, and stuff like that.
I think once you factor in everything, I think it's very rare as a small press person. I'm not saying this doesn't happen because I know, for example, someone like Al Henderson makes his money back. Yeah. But I think it's very rare you make all your money back. And then you've got to factor in as well. Have you had to take time off work? All this sort of thing. What else could you be doing rather than doing a convention? I think there's a lot of that to factor in as well.
If you choose to do a show like that, do you think you need to have a completely different mindset than if you're at a small press expo? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And even small press expo in Bethesda is an expensive deal to do. I think when you're talking about maybe some of these shows that are sort of springing up a little bit more in the States than here, that are sort of in a garage or something like that. There's 20. I know our buddy Steve Laffler does a few of those sort of things. Falpy's been out and done a few. Strangers do a few. I think that's slightly easier. But I've for example, I'm going to Bridlington I'm going to mention it in a bit in the shout outs, and we'll never make our money back at Bridlington, but it's a free table. I go with Falpy, we road trip. I meet people like Ian Ashcroft and Johnny Cannon and all those people at it. Jade Webster Sharp, and to me, it's just part of the hobby is going along. Yeah. I get to buy a load of back issues. We get to buy a load of beer. We just laugh our way through the weekend. It's worth it to me.
I'd say more, like kind of the zine fair and the kind of the homemade comic kind of stuff. I'd expect that to like run under the proviso that you're not there to make loads and loads of fucking money. It's just to kind of get your comic and zine into people's hands. So I wouldn't expect to have to pay a lot for that because you're essentially not going to be making a lot. It's kind of like a quid pro quo kind of deal.
But even at some of our biggest selling tables, and we've sold quite a few comics at them, I'd argue we never made all our money back from that weekend.
No way. Yeah. But do you think the bigger ones, like if you're going to one of the bigger cons and they are charging higher table price, it's under the idea that you're going to be making money because you're paying for that spot?
I mean, I think it's one of those things that it is absolutely not the show's responsibility to sell your comics. Do you know what I mean? Just because you go to these shows doesn't mean you're going to be raking it in. And sometimes when people and a lot of these shows that we hear more about in terms of marketing and just on the internet, some people just absolutely rag on these shows because they didn't do very well. And I'm like, well, there's a certain point where sometimes it's a bad day. You just have a bad day.
Sometimes,
I hate to be that guy who thinks you're a fool to thinking you're going to make loads of money through comics. But you are. You're a fool. You're not going to.
Yeah.
You probably make more money working in Tesco's.
Yeah, it's very small kind of people that seem to be able to kind of turn profit and good luck to them, man. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not in it for that. I'm quite
same.
Honestly, I've never made, well, apart from when I worked for a comic company, then they paid my mortgage. But I'm not in it, the small press, to make money. It's not the point of it. I remember being at, I think you were at Nottingham that year. I'm not sure if you were down at it, but I remember coming away from that thinking I'm massively inspired by being at this convention and chatting to all these people and, talking about comics and having a laugh and having a drink and meeting people I hadn't met, but we'd met online. And I came away thinking that's all I needed.
Yeah. If you get a bit of boost of creativity. I mean, Hal, with the sort of like you were mentioning, like the works that you do, and obviously that the show in Latvia, etc. From your perspective, in terms of tabling, what kind of shows are you looking for, and what do you think creators like you should look for when it comes to their work?
Well, in the new, this new era that I'm doing my comic. this local show is the only one that I've done so far. And the opportunities here, that's pretty much it. Like there's not, many other or any other like zine comics type shows like that. So what I'm looking for, and what I think, like most people, or not most people, but many people that do like my level of comic, is just like think about the tabling fee and think about the other fees. If you're going to realistically lay out 200 or 300 money units, euros or pounds, can you do that? Can you afford to lose that? For some people that's a huge amount of money. For other people, it's not. So yeah, just think about what you're comfortable with, and then look at the show, look at their website, look at their Instagram feed, kind of get a feel for how they're promoting the show, promoting the artists, and just like also kind of get a vibe off it. Like, are the other artists there, your kind of people? Do you know any of them? Are they doing the kind of art you feel like you're going to fit in? As far as whatever kind of audience that you've cultivated, do you actually have any people that are in that area, that region? So for me, like I have friends and acquaintances here. So some of them came by and bought copies. They saw I was launching it online and that kind of thing. So they were, looking forward to coming by and picking up the new issue. So that was helpful, and the table fee was very reasonable.
That's important, laying the groundwork before you do the convention. I think just turning up a convention thinking you're going to be, people are just going to flock to your table. I think what you're doing there is right. If you've got a new book out, say, right, it's going to be at this festival. I'll be at this table. Come and see me. First 100 people get a free badge, or something like that. I think it's worth laying the groundwork. Just turning up and putting your stuff out and then sitting there with a face like thunder ain't going to sell your book either.
No, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and one thing too, when I was doing my sculpture, I used to do outdoor art shows. So I was selling my artwork, my sculpting back in the 90s. So I learned a lot on the business side of things, like what your expenses are going to be, how to interact with people, like to not, talk too much, not to bug them too much, but also to make them feel welcome. It's kind of we've all been to these kind of shows, and the people that are really desperate and trying too hard to like get you to look, or they get even a little offended if you just walk by and you don't really stop to, but like there's 100 tables, so you can't give each person attention. So you kind of are filtering, I've seen people like they get, you can tell like it's one of their first shows and they get offended. Like you just have to get kind of a thick skin. You just have to accept, like, not everybody's going to be into your thing. And there are other people that will talk your ear off and then they don't buy anything, but then I've had people come by on the first day of a show, like it's a 2-day thing, and Saturday morning they come and they want to see the whole show. So you have a nice chat, and you think, oh, maybe they might buy something, but they don't. Well, then Sunday afternoon they pop back up and they're like, yeah, I'm coming back around now. I've gone around and see, everybody, and now I want to see it. I've had people I've had great conversations with, and then they don't buy anything, and then 2 weeks later I get an email from them and they buy something,
I think it's worth saying at this point as well, and we live in sadly in recent times where finances are a lot tighter, and I think there's people who've got, like, especially over here, big home gas bills or something to pay. I mean, they will understand that completely. And I really do think that the convention scene has got to start thinking about, you do one of two things: you either pay to get in or you pay for a table. I think doing both is the tail wagging the dog sometimes in this sort of situation. I know Simon Russell has spoken a bit about this with us as well. Is I think you really need to think about that, because it's taking the mick a little bit, I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't know with the bigger conventions and comics festivals, if they have a sliding scale, if they're maybe, giving a break to the small press people and charging them less for a table.
Some of them do.
Kind of having
Bridlington gives them for free.
Bridlington.
Yeah.
So that's good, to cultivate and support, small press and smaller artists like that. I think that would be a good thing to do.
A good thing to do would be to support Hal. The king of the Segway. So I mean, this we could be talking for days. This has been amazing, Hal. But where can people go to support you? I mean, don't be surprised if a lot of people are getting in touch to get your comics now, because we're due to this lovely community. So once again, what are your links, my friend?
The primary one would be to go to weaverworks.com. I have a shop there. You can order the comic directly from me. If you're in Britain, like I said, Josh Comics normally carries that they're out of stock at the moment. So go by and ask them, hey, I want a copy of Reluctant Sadist. And then Greg will go, oh, yeah, okay. But you can order them directly. And if you're in the United States, Thomas Campbell of the Comics Blogger is my distributor there, and he just did a wholesale order for copies of the latest issue. So he has copies of 8 and 9 now. So you can get it. The postage will be easier if you're living in the States. He's in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes he also brings those along in tables. My comic. He's distributing a lot of people's comics. So and he does a great. You should consider getting him on sometime, because his zine, The Comics Blogger, he reviews and interviews.
Oh, I bought a few of them. I've been in contact with him. Yeah, we speak on Instagram occasionally.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
because he's good. He is a good guy, and I think that he'd give you a good interview.
Nice stuff.
Thomas fella.
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing interview. And thank you. You've been awesome.
Well, I really appreciate you guys so much, and thank you. It's an honor for me to be on your show, and but thanks so much. You guys are great, and look forward to meet you in Meatside sometime.
Nice.
I mean, in real life, Meatside is a
That's not a sexual thing.
We get it.
You guys are like, oh, what? What did he say?
No.
Felt like we could talk to Hal for years,
and he's just such a good guy.
Just a lovely guy.
Mate, that is a snapshot of what me and him. We occasionally, I think 3 or 4 times now, we've had dinner together, and that's just a snapshot of how the conversation goes.
Nice.
It's
what
just
do you have for dinner?
One outrageous story after another. Well, we've had pizza. We went to that cafe near Gosh one time. Different things. Curry. We've had curry once.
Nice.
You're all about the curry, aren't you?
I love a ruby. I do. I love a ruby.
Not our good pal Tom Curry. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Tom. Although I do love him too.
There's a suggestion of like Bigfoot running pizza vending machines in Riga. That's the story there, surely.
What?
Let's pizza.
Bigfoot vending.
Bigfoot
selling pizzas.
Running the pizza vending machine. Just keep going around and fixing them.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. So he's just a he's just a pizza vending machine repairman. So he's not running.
No, he owns the machines as well.
A little bit mafia, isn't it? I bet it's mafia that own all those machines.
And then
it's a bit like fruit machines, isn't it? They're all owned by the mafia.
The Wendigo runs the kebab machines, and then there's a bit of a little rivalry.
Yeah, the Jersey Devil's got the pinball machines.
What
writes itself.
It writes itself. What, like a crazy cryptid vending machine? I don't know. What is this? Yeah, okay. I mean, I want to see a cover. So over to you, listeners.
Cryptid vending machines. Cover.
Yeah.
Does sound a bit like a Gareth Hopkins comic, but
yeah. But thank you, Hal, for joining us, and be sure to check out his book. I mean, you've got to see the Bigfoot image alone that you can now get on a t-shirt.
I love it.
I'm sure.
He just texted me saying what size t-shirt you wear, and I'm like, yes, come on.
Yes. So, yes, go check out Hal's work, and of course we've got some interesting books to recommend. But before then, do we have any shout-outs, gents? I'm poised and ready to type away and add them. Yeah.
You ready? Look, just give it a shout earlier. Big shout out to our buddies at the Santos Sisters for their Eyes in the Wind Best Continuing Series. Fucking well done. Deserved. I watched the video like in the middle of the night. I texted Mark to say well done. He replied immediately. I expect they're on the fucking hit and miss large, but yeah, very well deserved. And also banging a drum for American Nature 3, which is just had an email about it now, which is a massive bumper-sized issue from the lads, which is kind of a combination of comics and articles and stuff. I've written something on it. That comes out in September. You can pre-order it. Go to your comic shop and pre-order American Nature 3 extra long newsprint, black and white comics, articles. It's all you want in life. Big shout out to Ian Ashcroft and his family for looking after me in Grimsby this week. I travelled up. Do you ever get to the end of the work year, and it's because I work in the academic timetable, and they say we've got all this time, you've got to take time off. And I said, I don't want to take time off. And they said, well, you've got to take it. So I thought, oh, fuck it. I'm going to drive to Grimsby and see him. So I also managed to coordinate with him finishing all his work on Hellbreaker as well. I don't think you'll mind me saying. And then he showed me a little secret look at that, and it fucking hell looks good. He's coloured it as well. It looks fucking amazing. Wait till you see it. And on the way back, I popped into Strange Apparitions in a garden centre in Spalding, which is one of my favourite comic shops. You want back issues, you want great books, great toys. It's a growing shop. That is so good. Alex is such good company as well. Another shout out. I know we mentioned it in the chat with Hal, Bridlington Comic Con. Free for small press tables. Andy Hempel's buddy of ours. We've had him on the show. Such a good guy. It's the 7th of September, which is Sunday. The upstairs bit is all small press tables, which he wants to put the comic back in Comic-Con, which is something obviously we approve of. And so he's giving that out. You can go to bridcomiccon.com or on Instagram at bridcomiccon. Have a look at that one. And final one is big congratulations to Eamon over at the Mega City Book Club for 300 episodes. Good lad.
Nice one, Eamon.
I was listening to the new one in the car this morning, and it's all about the best 10 covers of 2000 AD. He's very 2000 AD centric with a lot of his stuff, not everything, but a lot of it. 10, everyone's written it in. I've sent him my favourites of the favourite 10 covers. And if you're on the Slack, you can go and find out what they are. I did a little post about it this morning, and Eamon's replied to it with the covers. So you can see it. And one relates to a spaghetti monster. I'll tell this story because it might hopefully make you go and listen to the pod as well. But lovely story. Do you remember when we were at Lawless, Vince, and the bloke cosplayed the cover of 2000 AD? I think it's a Bolan cover of the bloke carrying the spaghetti monster on a plate.
Yeah.
The dude who did the episode with Eamon is a special needs teacher, and the bloke was going to throw it away because he couldn't put it in his bag to travel home with. I think he lived in Ireland, the guy was saying. And it's now in his classroom. How cool is that?
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, he says it sits on a shelf in his classroom. I thought that's brilliant. And that's just one of the covers that Pete Wells, that's the name of the guy who did it. And it's just one of the covers that is mentioned in this episode. So big shout to he's a buddy of ours, Eamon. I'm seeing him on the 10th at the Comic Mart, if anyone's about. But yeah, there you go. They're my ones.
Nice. Dan, what have you got?
I've got this. You're going to have to act quick if you want a copy of this comic. Now that's what I call Turning Tricks, issue 4, a comic about a perpetually thirsty waitress and a quest to get laid in a galaxy on the brink of war. As this show records, it's 49 hours. So you're going to have maybe half, like 25 hours-ish. So pull your finger out and get on that. That's by our chum Mike Aston. We've got Blam and Glam, issues 1 to 11. New issue of the hit comic sci-fi series set in an alternative 2020-2021 where a woman with amnesia battles demonic mecha monsters. That one is from our friend Richard Morgan. That's doing great guns.
Good.
And finally, we've got the Fabled 4 remake from Jamie Mee. And the not safe for work dark comedy adventure is Born Again. There's many variant covers of that, all featuring naked ladies. So I'll see you later. I'll get a copy of that for myself.
Cosplay variant.
Yeah. Christ.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, moving on, I think it's time. There's so much stuff. I'm so glad I don't do the links anymore. Putting in the individual links. I know that's really lazy of me to say, but if I was doing all the links for some of our shows on the Podbean page, I'd never get anything done.
It would never be out of 10. It'd be out at 10:45, and it'd be like that, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Send me your covers, by the way, guys, for the other thing.
Oh yeah. See, we're doing admin while we're recording the show. That's how good we are. That's how business minded we are. Yeah. But let's pull back the curtain further and reveal even more comics to recommend. So Tony, kick us off.
Yeah, my one's a big one this week. I say big one. A big one in size, big one in content, and big one in the impression it made on me. One of my favourite books of the year, easily. Dry Cleaned by Jonas Martins. Big oversized hardback. Came out the 10th of July. So big it won't even fit on for camera when I'm trying to show you guys.
That's a lovely cover.
Isn't it lovely? Isn't it lovely? The came out on the 10th of July in English from Jonathon Cape, AAK Penguin Random House. Originally published as Bleak Water by Ugenstend in Belgium in 2022. Absolutely gorgeous production values and a reasonable 25 quid. I impulse bought this from the FB site and you get a massive discount.
Turn from the side so we can see the girth.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, nice.
White spine. Just look at some of that.
Oh my God,
that's great stuff.
Yeah. The cover is just for those. I've been showing it to the boys. It's terrible, isn't it? With audio medium for a visual.
Yeah, well, follow us on Substack. You might see what
you can have a look at it. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, it's a single image of everything's rainy in this book. Everything is cobbled, city mostly rainy, and it's an image of the central character who is the dry cleaner or the delivery man for the dry cleaner, and he's standing and he's on this rain-soaked cobbles. But the way the art does it is it gives you a spread of colour on the sort of shine of the rain on the cobbles. It's so beautiful, almost from a sort of bluey grey through to an orangey red. Just very beautiful. And he's in a sort of dark suit, looking up, pathetic, sad. He's a pathetic, almost cut figure holding a tartan bag. What that's doing is it's telling you a story, and you don't immediately get that until you get into the book. But it certainly gives you a hard impression of what the comic's going to be about, and I love that about it. Don't expect anything that is overcomplicated story-wise in this. It's not really. I would say we buy comics for all different reasons. I would say in this one, the tipping of the balance is the art was made more of an impression on me than the story, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Although that's the same thing, isn't it? It's the art complements and is part of the story, and it's kind of the same thing. But there's a lot of single page images, a lot of double page spreads of cities and people walking through cities and the rain soaked architecture and stuff like that. Just very beautiful stuff. But if you read the promo to this on the Penguin Random House page, it described it as a 1970s continental metropolis. But to me, this is just Paris. I just immediately took this to be Paris. It looks really like it. It really reminds me of the roads that I walk. You guys been to Rue Dante in Paris?
Nope.
No.
It really reminds me of those roads. They're the sort of crisscrossing, old school Paris, I suppose.
Okay.
In it, we get introduced to Francois. He's a skinny, dark-suited man. He's a kind of one of those I'm too old for this shit kind of guys. He drives a van for a dry cleaner and delivers dry cleaning, essentially. He's made to work with this geezer who's a bit of a prat, and they drive out of the city. It opens with him on his way to work, and he's always forgetting his umbrella. He's always getting soaked. He goes into the same cafe, he plays the same numbers on the lottery, meets the same people, and the city is reflective of his personality. They're one and the same. The rain-soaked, downbeat, dark, dirty nights of the city reflect his job and his personality. It's really well done. And I'm not going to spoil this too much because it's kind of noir. It's got a noir twist to it. He's delivering with this bloke, and they have to go out for once in a while. They go out into the country, so they go out to this big house in the countryside, and he's at the door knocking, and there's no reply. So he goes in. The door opens, and he goes in. This is a classic movie trope, isn't it? And he goes in, and in there is what looks like a couple of gangsters lying dead with guns in their hands and a bag of money. And that's the kind of big narrative twist in this. And it goes off, and then it's a nice little twist. It's not as it inspires you to read onwards, that one sort of thing. It's really well done. And it really plays in the ordinary man gets an extraordinary opportunity, and how does he deal with it? But it spends so much time building up Francois that you really relate to him. You may not necessarily like him, but you certainly builds him up as someone, and he makes a certain decision. I would say, depending on how you read, this could be a quick read. But for me, I spent so much time looking at the pages and looking at the art. It was a long read. and there's not much, there's not like loads of dialogue, there's not loads of events, but it's just absolutely stunning to read. And I would say there's probably more effort on a couple of pages in this than there in a whole fucking X-Men books series.
Yeah.
The preview in this, the PRH describes him as an anti-hero, and I'm thinking, how is he an anti-hero? He's an everyman. I don't see him as an anti-hero in the slightest. It almost makes me doubt that the preview was written by someone who'd read the book somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
because would you say like an anti-hero has heroic qualities, but just you don't expect them to be the hero?
Yeah, I guess.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
they do the wrong thing to get the right thing done, maybe? I don't know.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, you could describe... Well, Dread's been described that way. Punisher has been described that way, depending on the story. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. It feels like they're on the side of good, but they'll usually end up doing a lot of bad to get it done. Do you know what I mean? You know, there's less rules with an anti-hero, I think.
Okay. There's no lines to make this bloke out to be a hero in any way.
No.
That's how I feel about it. So that
it doesn't work in this case. It doesn't seem.
Yeah, I don't think it works here. But this completely flew under the radar. I didn't see it anywhere else. I didn't see it talked about anywhere else, and I just don't understand why. I don't understand why the world turns like this in comics. It's a really good presentation. You'll get it for cheaper than 25 if you look on loads of different sites. Go ahead and get it.
That looks fucking awesome.
Joris Mertens Dry Cleaned. There you go. It's my first one, guys.
Dry Cleaned. I'm going to jump in now because my recommend from something that, you know, the interiors are beautiful and the cover is a wonderful example of it. I mean, Tony, I just saw it there on your screen. That cover's just absolutely stunning. To a cover that, frankly, I think is rubbish.
I read this. I think I must have read this at the same time as you. If it's the book I'm expecting. Yeah.
Now this is. I've gone to the IDW, and I've gone to something that I haven't read before. What I mean by that is this is a Star Trek comic, and I don't really read Star Trek comics. Whether it's
you're not missing much at the moment, mate.
But even like canonically in the past, like whether it be a Deep Space Nine comic or whatever it is. Star Trek comics aren't for me. I've got my place where I like my Trek, and it's the same with a lot of those. You know, that's just what I like. I like, you know, my comics here, and I like the other things here. But I was intrigued by this, and I'll tell you why. And this is Red Shirts issue 1. I just the creators, before I start on my rant / recommend, because it is a recommend. The writer is Christopher Cantwell. Artist is Megan Levens. Charlie Kirchhoff is the colorist, and Jodie Troutman is the letterer. Now, why do I say this as a recommend? But I've started off with something quite negative. The cover is what drew me into reading this. So some people could argue, does that mean it's a good cover then? Whatever. It's not a good cover, in my opinion. The style of the cover is also what they use for issue 2. Have you said? Because Tony, I know you.
I was about to say that, man.
Issue 2 has quite a nice cover.
They're so the same.
Yeah.
The problem is that both covers. If I walked in the shop,
it works better with issue 2 though. It works better.
The thing is, if I bought issue 1, it's not a particularly memorable cover. But issue 1, it's been done before.
No.
You know, and then I went back in the comic shop and thought, oh, that's issue 1 again, because they're so similar.
Yeah. And the cover is basically a skeleton in a Star Trek red shirt. It's got some gashes across it, and it's floating in space. But there's lots of dead space on there, which I know is a completely different franchise. No, but there's lots of like just emptiness. It just feels, you know, like a sort of. I mean, it could be artistically, but it feels like a photoshopped galaxy in the background. Do you know what I mean? There's, yeah. So the cover did nothing for me, and because the cover did nothing for me, I kind of went into it thinking, okay, if this is the cover, how shit is this going to be? I almost, dare I say it, I was begging it to make me hate it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, okay, if this is, I don't like this. Is it going to get worse? How many pages can I read this? And I read this issue on Global Comics. This
Day
issue.
date on IDW now,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
So, so therefore, and that's probably the reason I took a punt on it, because I've got the subscription of Global Comics. I was like, okay, make me dislike you. And what I found was a book that I liked very much indeed. That was very much unexpected. The synopsis is, it's called Red Shirts. I think everyone will know kind of what that's shorthand for. But the synopsis is, led by an experienced officer embedded on the snow-ridden planet Arconia 89, the crew of the USS Warren has a small window in which to pin down spies seeking to steal classified secrets and keep Starfleet data out of their nefarious hands. They face threats not only from their faceless enemies, but from the brutalizing elements and wildlife from a planet far from home. The Red Shirts' lives and Starfleet's sanctity are on the line, and no one is safe. It's a book called Red Shirts. I think partly it's like when someone reads Battle Royale, they probably want to see how people are going to die. Let's be honest. There's a certain okay, if it's to the death, who's going to be the last one standing? That's why we go into these sort of things. But this had I don't know. It's just a really entertaining story. Set me up, and I think, because it treats its story so far, and I'm hoping it doesn't delve into it. It is its own story. I was expecting, there's the Kirk or whoever it will be. There is the link into everything else. No, it's almost set up. You know what Star Trek is. There is you have like a main character who immediately on the first page they're having their face ripped apart, which was quite a shocking first page. Like their eyeballs almost pop. They lose an eye, don't they? Tony, they've got to have like a replacement eye. So we've got the figure that we're following the story from, and they almost know that the legacy of having this sort of shirt, the security officer, because that's what they are, isn't it? They're all security officers. That they all know they're kind of doomed in a kind of way, but it's not treated like a joke. It's not treated as like a one-note sort of thing. They're also highly trained personnel. So this particular mission that they have to do, it's like a little squadron. It's like a platoon. There's no other coloured shirts. They're all red shirts. It's no different to the commandos in Predator. Bang! You got like a group of people. They're going to drop down, and then they're going to be picked off one by one. That's probably what's going to happen, and we're going to, people are going to die that I don't expect, and I'm on board with this. I'm surprisingly on board with this. I haven't read any. I know Cantwell, as it says here, has written Star Trek Defiant, and Megan Levens has worked on the Star Trek books. I thought it was really tightly written, and Levens is a great artist for this. There was I got a little the sharpness of the work gave me a slight Jason Burrows around the edge, maybe a little bit more cartoonish around the edges.
There's a little Mike Norton for me.
Yeah, there's a bit of that in there. But when you start the book, I don't know what the print book's like. When you start it, instead of the credits, the first double page spread you have is the cast, the lineup of all of these crew. I'm expecting on issue 2 them to have crosses on them, because first issue,
they're gonna die.
They don't all make it. They don't all make it on the first one. I'll say nothing like that, because I think Tony, you've read a lot more Star Trek than me in terms of the comics and stuff. I feel like this is almost a Star Trek comic for I guess a Star Trek fan like me who isn't as embedded. I thought it was quite easy for me to drop into.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Star Trek is especially this, and this happens in the novels, for example, the New Frontier books. They do create these little sort of pocket teams that are just you can go into without the continuity of Strange New Worlds or something like that. Not having known it, and I like that stuff. I have to say, I didn't love this as much as you, but I really enjoyed it. But I think partly due to such low expectations, man. The general Star Trek books have been bloody toilet paper.
Have they
And I
really?
went to this, yeah, they're getting facts wrong about stuff, and it's just they've done this book of all the different characters, and they clearly hadn't done their research on the Deep Space Nine and Next Generation and stuff. But this is just a happy little book
Yeah.
that is at its heart, like Star Trek is on occasion, a soap opera.
Yeah.
It creates this sort of family of characters, which Star Trek does so well, and you follow them through, and it's just meat and potatoes comics, which is all I want from comics.
Exactly,
these days.
it's an adventure. It's an adventure comic. I think it's an
Yeah.
adventure Star Trek story that isn't bogged down with all of that. Like you say, the stuff that they fail on these other books is probably a weight around the neck of a lot of like creators trying to make a Star Trek book. It's just
There's little callbacks. So the creature that slashes his face is a creature from the original series and stuff like that. There are little callbacks, but you don't need to know stuff.
yeah.
That's handy.
And there'll probably be some little maybe like you say callbacks and tie-ins and stuff like that. I don't want there to be too much of that going forward. I want there to be enough so it feels like a Star Trek book. For instance, it doesn't need to be like brutal. There's a page that talks about the sort of legacy of red shirts in some ways, and you see a page of lots of people just getting absolutely mullered in classical Star Trek fashion. But it's quite interesting to make a whole cast out of these people because they will be more substantial.
I mean, it has been done before. So there's a series of tour books called Red Shirts, and it's kind of like not really Star Trek, but he's using all the Star Trek tropes.
Oh yes, I know, I know that. But the problem with that, I think I know the ones you're talking about. The problem with some of these things, and this is a problem I have with like things like Lower Decks. I know that's a completely different medium. The problem I have with these sort of things is they're always, oh yes, we're going to hang out with the people that no one talks to. We're going to hang out with the people that are cannon fodder. We're going to hang out with the people that are not important. 5 minutes in, oh, they're hanging out with the main cast. Oh, they're talking to generals. They're doing all this stuff. Hang on, I thought you said they weren't important and no one talks to them. I want it to stay true and just be like, no one. There's absolutely no reason like the captain of a ship should have like a massive scene with these people unless they've done something epic at the end.
Next Gen did an episode like it, didn't they? They used to use it every so often. These series will do an episode that doesn't have the main cast in it because it gives the main cast a rest because they're making 26 episodes a year.
Yeah.
So they did do one like that. In fact, but there's a character who turns up later. But I don't mind it. You need that little fresh thing. I think we're too continuity heavy. We're too linked into other things in comics and in television.
Yeah, and I think because we know, like for instance, the red shirt mythology. For me, red shirts shouldn't save the day, but they should be vital in saving the day. Does that make sense? It's
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, they're in the They're in the trenches taking the bullets. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So, and this was just fun. I know we're talking about a lot about Star Trek and stuff like that, but I just thought this was a funny adventure book. So I'm going to keep going with this. I don't know how many issues it's going to be. I'd imagine something like this is 4 or 5 at most.
As it sells, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see what the covers look like. Yeah, I will agree with you, Tony. Seeing that, like for instance, on Comixology, just the page now, seeing issue 1 and issue 2 next to each other. Yeah, actually,
have a Google issue 2, and you'll see there's another version of the cover which is much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe they need to think about which variant they're going to use as the main cover.
Interesting. Anyway, that's mine. I've ranted enough. Dan?
I'm going to review a manga title that I was gifted to by Tom Curry, 20th Century Boys. Have you guys heard of this one at all?
Yeah, I think I told you, didn't I? I tried to buy this and I bought it accidentally in French because I couldn't find the first. Do you remember we had that period, didn't we, of mangas? You could never find the first volume in some mangas. Yeah. And it was a bit like that. I looked in the States and everything. But yeah.
All front. I remember looking at something and I was like, oh man, that ain't too bad. Then I was like, oh, German language.
But, I've done that a few times.
I did get something sent through on Amazon. I had to send it back because I was like, oh, okay, can't read that. But this is got 36 million copies in circulation. It's one of the biggest manga selling titles of all time. And to be honest, I hadn't heard of it. I was kind of like, just went into it kind of fresh. It flicks back between 2 time zones, late 1960s and the late 1990s, and it sort of follows a group of like friends and when it jumps forward, it catches up with one of them, and they're sort of like young lads like mucking around. They've made their little base. They've got like they nick pornographic magazines, listen to the radio, do this, get up to hijinks, and they start amongst themselves coming up with an idea like if they were going to start up their own secret society or something, and they were villains. This is what they would do. This is how they'd take over the world. And one of them comes up with a symbol of like a hand pointing up in a circle. And as it flashes back and forth for the past and the present, this kind of conspiracy starts playing out, and the main character starts seeing this hand symbol coming up, and there's so many plot threads that come together and I've got to say, I struggled to think of the last time I've read a book where that's the intricacies of how many characters, how many plot threads there are that interwoven and cross over and meet up, and stuff's dropped in that comes to pay off later. It's just like, man, where the fuck's this book gonna go? I had to stop myself because it sets up a mystery story, and I had to stop myself jumping online and finding out where the story went next, because it's been out a little while. I was like, no, I'm not going to get the fucking book and read it and get the story as it's supposed to be told. But I really recommend it. You should definitely check it out. I can't do it justice like talking about it. I thought it was an absolute blast.
It's quite a long running one, isn't it? I think I hear people talk so well of it. It's finished now, though, isn't it? I think, is that right?
Yeah, I think they did. From reading here, they did a sequel called 21st Century Boys.
Right.
And talking to my son, he was saying, "Oh, that's the villain that's got this and this in it." And I was like, "I've not got to that bit yet." And he was saying, "It's supposed to be one of the best villains in manga and anime and stuff." So I was
I'm
like,
gonna have to pick this up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's man. Yeah, I had a real blast. I just couldn't stop reading it all day today.
Nice.
Blasted through it again. So yeah, lovely stuff. Do go check it out. So I'm going to murder the chap's name. It's written by Naoki Urasawa, Naoki Urasawa. 20th Century Boys.
Cool.
Nice. Tony.
Last one. So this is Legacy Idols and Bones. It's got a mature marker, I'm going to say. Gary Seaward, who is a listener, sent it in to us. It's don't go into it too much because it's got one of those register for interest landing pages over on Kickstarter at the moment. So I'm just giving it a little rec because I think it's worth it. Gary, in his email to us, spoke about how these characters have been in his head for years, and he just wanted to finally make the comic, and finally he's done it. He's finally made a comic. And if someone said that to you, finally made a comic like this, you wouldn't think it's as good as this. It's come out very well, in my opinion. Lovely, nice, colourful, bold colours on it. On the cover, promises some boobs too, which obviously we're fans of. And then when you get into it, it's got that framing sequence. The start, the prologue, is an alien craft, one of these sort of slightly organic alien crafts, explodes inside of a cross between big ape creatures, not unlike a Bigfoot to be fair, and sort of slightly tentacled robot-y type creatures. And this is 65 million years ago, and it ends up crashing on Earth, upsetting a load of dinosaurs, and you think, right, that's it. And it's got this, it's almost like wordless. It's got some alien language in it, and you think, oh, that's a nice little prologue. And then, of course, you flash 65 million years into the future to now, and you get dropped into something which I'm going to compare to The Boys. I think that is an obvious comparison. It's an adult, violent, sexualized version of superheroes. So we always compare it to martial law and The Boys when someone does that, don't we? You know, we could also say The Authority. We could also say lots of things, with that. And it's you get this sort of Iron Man, War Machine prototype. Do you remember Prototype from the Malibu universe?
Yeah, I do.
Remember him? Bit like that, flying across the ocean, heading for the beach, and suddenly he gets the Superman trope character landing on top of him and shouting, "Boom, arsehole." This guy is called Eidolon, and we know that because the armored character immediately tells him how much he hates him. And Eidolon returns the insult by calling the other one a massive dick. And then there's a fight, and it gets fucked up immediately. And you think, oh, this is where it's going. This is going super violent. This is getting fucked up. This is like two blokes down the pub who hate each other having a fight, but transferred into, there's no honourable punch up going on in space in this one, and the characters seemingly get more and more fucked up. There's a female villain character in it. I won't ruin it all, but there's a female villain character in it called Widowmaker, and she cuts the bollocks off men who are cheating, which is quite a good little careful. And there's a character called Carcass, who's a sort of, I'm going to say weirdly, sort of bloodthirsty cross between Batman and Slane in a way. I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of cool. But I won't spoil anymore. Got some nice snappy dialogue, some nice snappy writing. It's I've got the details here. So it's Gary Seaward, story and art, and Glenn Ludlow did the script. So it's a bit of a combination. I suspect they're two buddies who played it. And it's coming to Kickstarter too. So it's one of those ones that's just two blokes making comics that are fun, making comics that they've always wanted to do. They're actually quite readable, really good fun, readable stuff, and it's going on Kickstarter. And there you go sign up, go and look up Legacy, Idols and Bones, and you can. I think one of these things, it's one of those algorithmic things, isn't it? The more people who sign up for the drop-in page, the sign-up page, the more likely Kickstarter is to promote it. Yeah. One of those bloody things that we fucking live our lives through these days. So go and sign up for Legacy, Idols and Bones. There you go.
Nice.
One. Just done it.
Good man. Nice one.
And I'm going to do it in a second as well once I've finished this sign-off. So there you go. Lots of comics to check out in the coming weeks, months, or whenever you do. It doesn't matter when you read comics, as long as you're reading comics and making comics. And we hope you have enjoyed this week's episode and all that we've chatted about. We have just scratched the surface of the iceberg, especially of the questions I'm going to ask these gents soon. Some devil's advocate questions that we always want to know what you think of them as well. So a good way to do that is to join our Slack community. It was spoken a little bit about in the interview, but a wonderful forum and community of people, lots of different channels. Talking about comics, making comics. We've had some new people join there. Welcome.
Just today.
What's the best way for people to find out how to join?
Just find us somewhere,
one of us,
and then we'll give you the link immediately. Yeah. There's no vetting or anything like that.
No,
everyone's welcome.
And you can download the app.
Us.
You can download the app as well, so you can do it on the go. And there's lots of great chat, podcast discussion. Keep the conversation of the episode going in the podcast discussion page. And there's always plenty to talk about. And there will always be plenty to talk about on this show. So we want to know what you want us to talk about. Just in case we do run out. We won't run out, listeners.
Never run out.
But if you've got any events, comic events, charity initiatives, anything at all comics based, please do get in touch with us. There's several different ways you can get in touch with us. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on social media at awesomecomicspod on Instagram, at the awesomepod on X/Twitter, because we still call it Twitter because we're old men. And we don't move with the times. Oh god, I was just about to say that and then something got caught in my throat. Bloody hell, the algorithm's after me. It's alright, it's just a bit of jizz. Thank you for listening to us, whether it was on the website. Awesome.
Awesome. That t-shirt coming your way soon. ACP.
Coming your way. Coming your way. Thank you for listening to us, whether it's on the website, awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, leave a review, say something nice. Just, helps the I'm going to say the word algorithm again.
Keep saying it and it works.
Algorithm might actually get us out to more listeners who will then check out more comics that we talk about on a weekly basis. We're also on Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife. What other networks are we on, Tony?
We're on the Pod Network. You don't need to get high. All you need is an anus and a third eye.
I mean, there's what? Why the third eye? Anyway, stirring stuff, as always. But while you're contemplating that, and there's lots to think about there, where can people find us online, etc.? Tony?
Neverwriteanything.com or in my third eye.
Lovely. Which is, we don't want to be caught in that gaze.
Yeah.
It's hypnotic.
Third eye or the brown eye. Just avoid both.
Daniel,
grow up.
So I brought a tone down.
Yeah. I mean, I say grow up because just a minute ago I just said it was just a bit jizz. Look,
where can you find me?
It's the end of the weekend, folks.
Yeah.
where can they find you, Dan?
Online at Vanguard Comic. You can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
Yeah, we're all a bit tired. You can find me on social media at Just a Diablo. Have a brilliant week, everyone. Keep reading loads of comics. Keep making comics. Keep inspiring us. Keep telling us about comics that we should be checking out. And join us back here next week for lots more comics talk and fun. And judging by the end of this week's show, God knows what we'll be talking about.
Going to be dangerous.
It will be dangerous, but it will have comics in it. So see you next week from Dan, Tony, and myself. Read loads of comics. Keep making loads of comics. And what else should they do, gentlemen?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
I've had a bad incident.
What?
So I dunked a biscuit and it dropped off in the bottom.
Oh my God! Are you okay?
I think so.
Are you okay? What
You
biscuit?
okay, hun?
What,
DM me.
Yeah.
It was
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
One was it's a bit like a digestive, but also a cracker. So like a smaller digestive biscuit.
Hang on, you said one was like you didn't drop two biscuits in.
No, I had a couple, but it was like that sort of type combo.
Mashed. Yeah.
Did it have like a cream in the middle or anything like that? Or was it just a
no,
biscuit?
No, just a single biscuit. Yeah.
Oh no,
just
is it sat at the bottom now?
I ate it.
Pretty fucking gangster.